Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to the videos of the paid request. This time from Mr. BlockWorld. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down in the info box wherever it is this week. But Mr. BlockWorld wanted me to talk about a couple Twilight Zone episodes. In this case, Night Call, The Shelter, and one more Pallbearer. Now, I didn't grow up with Twilight Zone like other people did. It's just we didn't have it on TV where we were at in Iowa, where I grew up. Because we only had 4 channels. 2 of them were CBS, 1 was ABC, and 1 was PBS. So Twilight Zone never appeared. In fact, the first one I saw was the movie. Which, even before I knew the travesty that happened with that first story, because of John Landis being a complete utter tool, I still didn't like that first story. And the Tit the Tan with Spielberg, I didn't like that story either. So I was like, oh, I like the John Lithgow one, and the one with Joe Dante, that was pretty decent. But I didn't love that anthology. I'm like, oh, I like Creepshow more, I like Cat's Eye more, and other movies that are anthologies. But anyway, but I had heard, as my voice cracks, I heard about it, of course. I heard about it. I knew about Rod Serling. So, like, when Eddie Murphy references Rod Serling in The Golden Child, I knew who he was talking about. And I'd see, like, programs, so I knew the face, I knew the voice of Rod Serling, and I knew how popular the show was. And then I know that, okay, the Twilight Zone, they rebooted it in the 80s, which you had a lot of recognizable people in that 80s version. I think Wes Craven directed a few episodes, one of them with Bruce Willis. There's quite a few others. And then they rebooted it, I think, 2 more times. One where Forrest Whitaker, I think, hosted it. And then one where Jordan Peele, which that didn't last long. I mean, the lasted, what, 1 year of that? Man, you bring back the Twilight Zone and it's so good it lasts only 1 year. But I did watch these 3. And overall I liked it. I mean, it helps that with these episodes, they're only like 20-25 minutes long. Even that, it's like you have the opening, then you have the closing, where either Rod Serling gives his summation, his final thoughts, or next time on Twilight Zone. So really they're like 20 minutes long. So they go by a pretty good pace. I think there's later episodes that they're like an hour long, but with these kind of stories here, at least with this seemed like the right length of time for this. I will say if I have to rate them or rank them, I'll get more details. I would say The Shelter was easily my favorite of the 3. Then I guess one more Pallbearer, and then Night Call. Sorry, fixing my glasses. But let's get into Night Call first, because that one was there, but it felt like it was all a lot of build up, and I went, oh, okay, that's the payoff. Oh, okay. This old woman keeps getting phone calls at night, again and again and again. An old woman named Miss Teen. She can't move, like she can't get much out of bed. She has a housekeeper. And each time she gets these phone calls, she'll hear weird noises. Then eventually that'll lead to moaning. And eventually the calls lead to someone going, hello? 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 And of course, understandably, the woman keeps freaking out. Who the hell keeps calling and moaning like the guy's horny or saying hello? I was like, if it was, I mean, maybe it's a guy that likes old women. He likes the granny panties. He wants a pair of your granny panties. That's what he wants. Give it to him and he'll go away. But that's not the case. The acting I didn't mind from Miss Teen. More so I like the housekeeper. And she even says, well, just keep the phone off the hook. My thought was, why don't you just unplug the damn phone? Because I would sit there, well, does she need a phone? Like, what all does she need a phone? I mean, I guess to be fair, a housekeeper, but at the same time, just unplug the phone, and then when you need the phone, plug it back in. She never thinks to unplug the phone. Because when the housekeeper says, just keep the phone off the hook. But when you keep the phone off the hook in these old-ass phones, it has this loud tone. Granted, you would think the housekeeper, you think all these people would have thought of this before she tried to go to bed. But, she can't sleep because it's loud noise, which I don't blame her. It's loud enough noise I wouldn't be able to sleep. That's why I just pulled the damn plug. Just pull the damn plug on the phone and sleep. At least for 1 or 2 good nights of sleep. Just pull the plug on the phone. But she doesn't think to do that. But that's so that she could be annoyed. She hangs the phone up. She's tired of hearing the dial tone. She gets called again. And she yells, leave me alone. Spoilers. I mean, yeah, all these don't have spoilers. She gets a call, well, from the phone company saying, we traced it to a fallen wire. There's no way no one could have talked to you. She's like, yeah, someone did. Well, the fallen wire, well, where was it? It was at a cemetery. Her housekeeper takes her to the cemetery, and it goes to this grave called Brian, which is Miss Teen's dead fiance. Because back in the day, she always insisted on doing anything and everything, and her fiance always did what she said, to a fault. She insisted on driving, and again, because he always did what she said, he let him. Them women drivers. She crashed the car, she got paralyzed or whatever, and he died. Went through the damn windshield. And you damn women drivers! Learn how to drive, damn it! So now that she has an idea of who this is, when she gets the phone call, she tries to talk, and pretty much the guy says goodbye. Well, what do you mean? You said leave you alone. I always do what you say. And then she's like, no, I didn't know it was you. And then there you go. That's the end of it. Now, the reason this left, like I said, I didn't hate it. I kind of figured what was going on. Probably a third of the way through. So it wasn't too surprising. It wasn't too much of a shock. The acting wasn't bad. It was short enough so it wasn't overbloated or overwrought or anything. It's just, like, what was the moral quandary of this? I mean, her jumping the gun? She didn't really jump the gun. Her not being fair? I mean, she was being kind of fair to the situation of this guy called like a dozen times and just kept moaning or saying, hello, hello, hello. Now, if he talked to her and she didn't believe him because she knows everything in her mind and she's always right and everyone else is wrong and she's being assertive and there's no way this could be real and stop lying, and the guy's like telling her the truth the whole time, but she doesn't believe it because she's got too much of a ego or too pig-headed. And then she finds out. And then she finds out she was wrong. Then she tries to talk. I'm going to do what you say. You told me this amount of time to leave you alone. Goodbye. Then at least that could be a moral quandary, a message of be a bit more tolerant, or be a bit more understanding, or believe a bit more. But here, like, there was no way, shape, or form that she could have known. Maybe if she could recognize a voice, but it doesn't seem like that's what they were going for. So it's like, okay, she got punished for something. I mean, she's already punished because her fiance's dead and she's been in a wheelchair or whatever for how many years or decades. How is she, there was no way for her to know. And if this guy kept calling and waking her up and scaring her, so I would blame more of the ghost's fault for, number one, not just saying who you were, for just repeating the same damn thing over and over again like a troll. Tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la-la. Like Brian, the ghost, you see him like a dick, like a trollish dick. I mean, if it was him being a trollish dick, like, you got me killed, you dumb bitch. I kind of would have been happy if he said something like that to her. You got what you want, you killed me, kiss my ass, kiss my dead ass, you know. But none of that. It just, I just built up to that finale that just, I don't know, felt a bit weak to me. What was really the moral compass that we were showcasing? She learned a lesson. I think that's something like Rod Serling was saying at the end. Like, what lesson? Like, she didn't know at all. Like, there's no way for her to know. The guy didn't say anything about it. The dozen times he called. And freaking out more and more and not letting her sleep and calling in the middle of the night. You couldn't really blame her reaction to everything. So it just felt like she was at that point, being punished for unjustifiably. But maybe that's sometimes just how it is. Now, the shelter I thought was a lot better. There's a birthday party, and there's the good doctor's birthday party. And while they're having this party, and it's pretty much the neighborhood, a good chunk of them together in this one house, they hear a warning on the radio that unidentified flying objects are out there. We're in a state of yellow alert. And of course, because of the time period this is in, people assume it's the bombs coming. The bombs are being dropped. And the doctor is the only one that has a bomb shelter. And so it becomes this friction where the doctor has his wife and kid, and they're bringing the supplies to the shelter. And the shelter, there's only enough room for the three of them. And enough food and enough air. So you can see the doctor and his plight as to why, listen, I made this bomb shelter, it's for my family. And you tell, like, I wish there was something more I could do for you guys, but the neighbor's like, oh, just let me in, or just let us in, or just let our kids in, or, hell, we'll just stand, and we'll just do this. It's like, I can't. It's like, no, come on, you're a doctor, where's humanity? I can't, like, my family's going to die, too, if I do this. What, air? You don't bring your own air? There's only going to be so much air that's here. Like, we have no more room or supplies. It's designed for 3 people. So you have the neighbors being more and more angry, being more and more upset, being more and more yelling and screaming, and I'm sure nowadays you'd be cursing. You know, why are you being so selfish? And, you know, how can you just stand there and be there with our kids out here? And it's like, the guy's not doing it on purpose, lady. So I can't really blame the doctor and his decisions. And then the neighbors start arguing amongst themselves as to who... Because even one of them goes, well, we can't all fit down there. Well, some of us can. Was your baby more precious than one of my kids? And then the tensions rise. One may toss crap about the other because he's a foreigner. And you see how mob mentality to ensure their possible survival, even though they did a battering ram, and then you're sitting there going, well, if you're breaking down the door, then that door is going to be open and broken, and whether you go down there, you're still going to die as well. If not from the blast, from radiation sickness, all that stuff. So it's people not thinking straight because they're scared. And it's like Tommy Lee Jones said in Men in Black, a person is smart, people are dumb, scared animals. And that's true. And then lo and behold, they find out it's satellites, there's no enemy missiles coming. And the doctor comes out, and you tell everyone else is ashamed and silent, and like some of them trying to talk friendly, but the doctor ain't having that. And the doctor's talking about how people claw their neighbors to death just for the privilege, and just about how, as Rod Serling says, if the human civilization is going to survive, we need to remain civilized. Which, trust me, there's a lot of people that would not do that. And that does happen. I mean, hell, people get into... Remember when we were running out of toilet paper? People were getting into fights over toilet paper. Literal fights to get the last toilet paper. If people are fighting over toilet paper, then you'd imagine what they're going to fight if they think their kids or and such are in danger. Like, granted, it's understandable where you have that survivor mentality. You want to protect your kin and your kids. But at the same time, if it's going to be to the detriment of killing everybody or killing the rest, then sadly, there's not a whole lot of people that's going to have that mentality, though, of the greater good, more of the understandably, but selfish mentality of survival. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty good one. That one, I'm surprised. Why didn't they put that in the Twilight Zone the movie anthology? That ever mean? Now that I think about it, I think at one point Steven Spielberg was going to adapt that story. I could be wrong on this, so don't quote me on it. But then, because of what happened with John Landis, and he's like, I'm just going to do this sugary sweet one, kick the can, which was too sugary sweet that gave me cavities and diabetes. So if this was the one he was going to do, that this should have been this would have been the much better story for the Twilight Zone the movie anthology, since that was based on all these stories. So The Shelter I did quite enjoy. For its meaning, for its pacing, for what it says about the human condition. I thought that was a pretty good story. And then the other one, One More Pallbearer, I thought was okay. It also involves a bomb shelter. It also involves a possible nuclear annihilation. But this is of a different sort, where this rich guy brings these three folks, and what he's going to do, he's going to try to make them think that there's going to be bombs. Because this guy is a very eccentric... And I didn't mind the actor who played him. I thought he played him in that weird way that you could tell there's something off about this guy. And he's really full of himself. The three folks he brought was a colonel when he was in the military, a reverend, and a teacher from high school. And he's like talking about how these people ruined him, these people hurt him, these people embarrassed him. You flunked me and humiliated me. You court-martialed me. You said all these bad things about me. And you're thinking, well, number one, he's a millionaire who's talked with rich, powerful people, but he can't get over stuff years and years ago. Like, what does it matter? You're rich, you're popular, you're doing well, but you still hold a grudge against these three? and you can't let that go. Even the teacher says you don't brood over a high school incident. And then this guy wants to keep thinking about how he is innocent or how he was done dirty. When you look at the reality of the matter, in spoilers, with the colonel, the reason he was court-martialed was because he didn't listen what he was supposed to, and it would have got a lot of people killed because he was too scared. He didn't go to this place, he was too scared, but by doing so, he almost got a lot of people killed. I'm like, well, yeah, well, no wonder he got court-martialed. The Reverend, he talked about how, well, you're with a woman and you drove this girl to ending her own life. And I called you out on it. And the guy doesn't, I mean, the millionaire doesn't think anything of it, doesn't think anything of the girl. I don't even remember him saying much of the girl, who she was, and what the details of that incident were. I kind of would like to have heard the more details on that, but you get the gist of the millionaire drove this girl to end her own life, and that's why the Reverend was pissed, which can't blame the Reverend then. And the teacher, she explains, you cheated. Not only did you cheat on something, you tried to plant the evidence on an innocent student. And so that's when I publicly reprimanded you, or as you put it, humiliated you, because again, you cheated, and then you try to put the evidence on an innocent person and get them in trouble, or kicked out, or expelled, or whatever. So yeah, you deserve a talking to. You deserve to be told off. So after this conversation that goes on for a bit, the missiles are coming, and our billionaire is trying to get these guys to believe that missiles are coming and this is a bomb shelter and you'll be safe. All I ask is, ask my forgiveness. Say you're sorry. And they're like, no. The Reverend wants to leave to be with people who he could care for. The teacher's like, I'd rather leave than stay with you. And our guy can't understand. He's like, all you have to do is say you're sorry. Like, all you have to do is say that. What are you doing? Now, granted, the way this happens, I don't know, maybe it needed a bit more time for me to fully go into this transition where, spoilers, the three leave, and then the fake bombs happen, and he's being shaken about. Then when he goes outside, he sees that it's a wasteland, but in reality, everything's perfectly fine. There's a cop talking to him, and we'll give you some help, but this guy lost his mind. Like, this guy lost his mind, and he thinks he's in this wasteland. I thought that was a bit of a reach. Like, I understand that he's confused. I actually thought it would be more interesting, perhaps, that maybe if it really was a wasteland and he meant this to trick him, but then he had the best time in the world because lo and behold, it really was a real thing and it really did become a wasteland. So the guy, even though he's safe, even though he may be the last person on Earth or whatever, he still can't handle that these three could not say sorry. And despite all the other things to worry about, this is the thing he has the bug up his ass about. And he still doesn't get it. Maybe something of that nature, but just the way he lost his mind, it was kind of hard for me to buy going from one to the other. It's okay, you're confused as to how they were more willing to end their own life than stay with you. But whether it's maybe this constant barrage of verbal onslaught that the guy is thrust upon, or maybe you see each person throw their truth bombs at the guy. So that the colonel says all these truth bombs, and the guy's been more discombobulated. Maybe see images of what he did, being a coward in battle, and that's eating up on him. And then the teacher's giving the third degree like he deserves, and then maybe he flashes to what he did, and that guilt eating up on him more. And then the reverend giving him the God's fury. And at the end, he's getting more discombobulated, and we see images of maybe the girl that he drove to end her life, and the bad stuff that he did. Because I don't know what bad stuff he did. Maybe they said it, but I missed it. Maybe like all these images flash in, and there's three people giving these truth bombs. The more terrible bomb for him, the truth bombs. And so it's this onslaught of all three of these like at the same time. So now he's being so consumed in his mind of guilt and him not learning his lesson and not just getting it. And then them leaving. And then this whole fake facade of the bombs. Then maybe I could buy more of him losing his mind on that nature. But the way it's done, I thought could have been handled a bit better. But I like the setup. I do like the setup. It's an interesting setup. I did like the acting, particularly I thought the millionaire guy, I thought he gave a solid show in his performance. But I thought the ending could have been done a bit better, at least to me. But yeah, The Shelter I liked. One more Pallbearer I didn't mind. And Nightcall was there. But I didn't hate any of them. So that's my thoughts on some Twilight Zone episodes. Thanks once again to Mr. BlockWorld. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.